Well, hi, everybody. I'm Steve Valenziano with the Vista Canyon project. I'm a development partner. Glenn Adamick in the back is one of my partners. Our third partner, Jim Backer, is not here tonight, but among the three of us, some combination of us has presented to this group on a number of occasions over the last 10 years or so. And we like to joke that we started this project when we were younger men. And certainly during the entitlement period, we presented to you and other community groups. But then since entitlement, which was in May 2011, I think we've been back a couple times as well. So we appreciate it, Al. Thank you for inviting us to be here. And is it the red button? Side arrow. There you go. So just as a refresher, here's where our site is. Now, this aerial photo was taken about 10 or 11 years ago before we did anything to the site. And if you can see it, I hope you can, it's really the hole in the donut. So the property to the south of us, Fair Oaks Ranch, as you know, has been completely built out at this point. And so we were an undeveloped sort of large piece of property. Oh, thanks, Al. Nice. This is great. Just a little history. The original Caucasian settler of this property in the 1860s was a Thomas Mitchell. And he settled right where our park's going to be, and I'll show you a close-up of our park in a minute, right where these 200-year-old oak trees are. And he started his homestead. He and his wife started the first elementary school in the area, which happens to be the Sulphur Springs Elementary School. Not that the building we currently have, but the school itself is the second oldest in L.A. County, I think. Thomas Mitchell, his family, and others are buried on what we call Mitchell Hill, which is the elevated area across the river, which will ultimately be a park that we in the city develop and turn over to the city. Some version of the Mitchell family owned this property until 1947. And in 47, the second group came in and owned it until we bought it in 2006. And during that time, it was used intermittently for livestocking and farming, but really not much. There was certainly no development. And listening to Rick talk about Whittaker Burmite, we're sort of grateful. I mean, the site was kind of pristine and it was not disturbed. There were certainly no nasties in the ground. When we and our investors bought the property, the city called us in and said to us, gee, fellas, that's an awfully big property you've got out there. And if we, the city, wanted to encourage a special development in Canyon Country that would sort of aggregate services and amenities and would sort of be a place for gathering in Canyon Country, that would have restaurants and office buildings for jobs and places for people to live, where do you think in Canyon Country this property might be? And so we looked sheepishly at each other, and sure enough, he was thinking about, the former planning manager was thinking about this particular property. And so with some encouragement from the city, actually a lot of encouragement, the plan and the design for Vista Canyon started to come together as a mixed-use integrated development. It's about roughly 180 acres all in to include the river, which of course has to stay the river, and we're going to be about 90 acres net in the development. So one of the big things that the city wanted, and in fact, when we talked to all the community members as we were going through the entitlement process, what we kept hearing is, please bring us some restaurants. Please bring us some cafes, maybe another movie theater. It was clear to us the folks wanted a place literally to kind of go hang out. So we think of retail space often as the big boxes we go to when we buy stuff. If you need a washer and dryer, or you need a toaster, or you're going to buy clothes, or you're going to Target, or you're going to Walmart, or whatever. But the smaller shops, restaurants that are situated on a walkable street with beautiful landscaping and places to lounge, we were hearing not only from the city that they thought it was a good idea, but a lot of community members we talked to thought it would be a good idea as well. So to refresh your memory on the plan, and again, it's about 90 acres. Here is our plan. Here is the Santa Clara River. Here is the 14 freeway. And of course, you have Soledad Canyon up here at the top. You'll notice that there's a connection under the freeway. There was an existing underpass that it was conveniently left there for us to use to connect to the project with a 4-lane bridge, a bridge we hope to be under construction with in April of 18. We're beginning the design process now, and we have all the approvals we need with the Fish and Game and all the folks that have jurisdiction over the river. So starting kind of from the left-hand side, we have here 480 multifamily units, and this land we are now in the process of selling to a major prominent developer of luxury multifamily, and it's a land sale that should occur in the next couple of months. They hope to be under construction roughly a year from today, because it takes them about a year to do all their drawings and to get their permits. Just up there by the river, the little blue building is the water reclamation plant. And to be honest with you, if it had rained during the past 10 years, like it rained this winter, this might never have occurred to us that we needed a water reclamation plant. But as you know, our drought's been very severe, and it occurred to us that if we had the opportunity to sort of create our own water, we should do it. So this plant will capture flows that are coming from upstream. It'll capture all the flows from our project. We'll treat the water and produce non-potable water for irrigation purposes. Our project will use about a third of it, and two-thirds of it goes to the local water purveyor, which will be used for schools, parks, and other uses that they come up with. So it turned out to be very timely infrastructure, given the drought conditions, and another, we think, an important infrastructure contribution to the community. Let's skip over now to this side of the property, and here's the park we talked about. These large trees, 200-year-old oak trees, they've been there since Thomas Mitchell occupied the property. They are sacred creatures, as you know, in the city, and you must protect them and cultivate them. And we're actually going to bring in more oak trees and plant them in the park. Aside from the tennis courts and the trail that runs through, and this little building here is the River Education Center. We call it the River House now, which will be a public building that can be used by the community for all kinds of meetings and weddings or whatever they would care to do in a beautiful park-like setting. And we'll have exhibit space for information on the river and on the surrounding area. That's why we call it the River House. Largely, though, aside from those features, kind of a passive park. And then we've got our for-sale housing right in here. We have 322 units, or 322 lots that we're going to sell to home builders. And we hope to sell those to home builders later this year. And our plan, now they can modify our plan, but our plan calls for some attached and small lot detached product. And we think the pricing ought to be in the high 300,000s to up to the mid or high 500,000s. This kind of sweet spot where there's a lot of market activity. We've noticed that a lot of the housing, the larger homes that are priced at a higher level, they're not moving so well through this market. But we think our price points are where younger first-time buyers or early buyers can buy and afford. And then also your move-down market. We talk to a lot of folks, boomers like myself, that have been in their single-family home. The kids are gone, and they'd really rather get to something smaller where they can walk to services, and we kind of see that as the market. Think of it as the bookends. This is another apartment building here, multifamily. Then we come to the middle of the project, which has, among other things, the transit center. The transit center has two elements. There's the bus transfer station, and the city is completely funded for this, and in fact is going to start to build it in like the July timeframe of this year. And it has 7 bus bays. And if those of you that are familiar with the one on the western side of town, it's right behind the Hyatt. And this is an interesting connection now for the bus system of the city, and will be handling commuters going into the valley and into Los Angeles and cross-valley traffic here. And then, of course, we have our Metrolink platform. So the Antelope Valley line, which conveniently and coincidentally our property adjoins, connects the Antelope Valley, Lancaster, Palmdale. It comes down through Santa Clarita, then goes south to Sylmar, Burbank, and into Glendale, and into downtown Los Angeles. So what the train allows people that live at Vista Canyon to do, of course, is walk out of their house, get on the train, and go into L.A., which is kind of a very nice feature if you don't have to get in your car. Very importantly, too, it's a real support for our office market, because we're going to build about 650,000 square feet of office here, which we'll talk about in a second, to bring local jobs here. And we think it's a marvelous recruiting tool for the corporations that would look at this location, that their employees can commute in, among other ways, with the Antelope Valley Metrolink line. The city and Metrolink are working on this project now. They're designing the platform. If you ask the city, they say they think they want to be under construction in 2019, with the station opening in 2020, maybe early 2021, in that rough time frame. So then we come to the bulk of the balance of the town center, which is going to be office space and hotel space. So we have a 200-room hotel, which is signified by this little purple icon. And our retail street, this experiential retail I talked about, is right here, called Lincoln Place. And let me fast forward here. Here's a rendering of it. This will be our first office building, which we'll talk more about in a second. And we're going to have 6 buildings kind of like this. They won't all look the same, but they're 3 stories. We'll have ground floor retail for the restaurants I talked about and the specialty shops in a walkable street environment. And then you're going to have 2 floors of office above. And we predict local professionals, medical, but also some corporate use for these buildings. So we think some real synergy between the office workers and the retail, not to mention the retail servicing Canyon Country at large. We talked about the Metrolink station, hugely important for our residents and the employers that we seek at Vista Canyon. We have a plaza at the foot of our retail street that goes right into the station platform. And we envision that as a real gathering spot with retail and restaurants on either side. We're going to construct a very attractive canopy, because it gets a little warm out here in the summer, as you know. And it should be a real special gathering spot right at the base where the train station is going to be. So we have been, since the middle of, roughly the middle of 2015, we've been doing land development and grading and putting improvements in the ground. And it may seem, if you've been driving by the site, for a year and a half now, it may seem like you're watching grass grow. What's sort of happening out there? Well, we've had to move a lot of dirt. We had to elevate the site about 7 feet, roughly. And we had to put embankment protection on both sides of the river, obviously, because in the heavy rains in the rainy season, we've got to make sure that the property, homes, businesses are protected from any potential flooding. And we've also had to put the storm drain in, and we've been working with utilities to get various designs done and easements and work. So there's an awful lot going on behind the scenes, if you will. However, this is our year to start coming out of the ground with the first buildings, and the first one is actually going to be the water plant. And I've got a better, more current rendering of that I'll show you. We're about to pull the building permit for the water plant. So I think we've already done the excavation for it, but I think we'll be building that plant probably certainly within 8 weeks, I believe. So that'll be our first one. We're in the process now of securing financing for our first Main Street or Lincoln Place retail building, which is at that location. And if all goes well, we should be under construction in the May-June timeframe, and probably take about 14 months or so for that building to finish and occupy its first office and retail tenants. They say, and I believe, and I hope it's true, that the first one's the hardest. And so once that one gets up and running, there'll be more momentum, interest generated not only from corporations and businesses, but also potential buyers and financing sources. So that process will accelerate. And the multifamily that I talked about here that we're selling to the major national developer, again, we don't expect construction to start this year, but maybe early next year for 480 multifamily units. So those are the first buildings, and you should be seeing them fairly soon. Here's a rendering of what the multifamily will look like when it's developed. The architecture is not exactly right, but the massing and the scale of it is close. And again, this is on the far western side of the project, those 13 acres that we're selling. Here is an accurate rendering of the water plant. Now, in addition to working well, you want your water plant to sort of blend in and just kind of look like, okay, it's a nice building, and nobody maybe is going to notice it too much. So we think it's blends it well into the landscape. It's going to take about roughly a year to build, and another period of months to certify. By the way, we are building it, but we are then going to give it to the city because the city wants to own it and run it ultimately. So that's part of several different contributions we are making as the developer with respect to this project. And here is a better look at our first commercial building, the one I hope to be under construction in May or June. And this is not designed to blend in with anything, really. It's designed really to be evidence a lot of energy. We want to attract tenants in the very active parts of the office market right now. It's largely technology, media, advertising, those kinds of activities, engineering. And many of those employers are seeking millennials to work there. This building can be what's called a creative office building. So in other words, companies can move in and forego putting an acoustic ceiling in. They can just drop their lights in and do whatever they wish to do in there. We hope maybe a large corporation will take the top floor because there's a lot of view glass up there. The second floor breaks up really well for professional tenants. Those windows are actually operable, not so much in the summer, who wants to do that, but during the balance of the year, they can open. And then we've got ground floor space, outdoor seating for the restaurants. And again, hopefully that's ready by August of 18 for occupancies. Our for-sale housing should look kind of sort of like some of the pictures I'm going to show you. This is sort of the rustic California architectural style that we think is consistent with Canyon Country, and the city agreed, and so that's kind of what we're shooting for. These are examples only, but it gives you a sense of what the architectural guidelines will be to the home builders that we sell the lots to. I mentioned the park earlier, and you can see we're going to be doing a lot of importing of new trees and landscaping there. You can see the trail prominently kind of go through here on the right-hand side. And the trail, actually, there's over 4 miles of trail through the entire project. It's going to be a trail for bikes, hikers, walkers, and even horses can get on this trail. Most of it will be a DG material, so it'll be very comfortable to walk on, comfortable for the horses if they want to ride on it. And we plan to be working on that park. We may start that park later this year or early next year. One of the important things about Vista Canyon was important to the city, important to us. And, you know, in any large project, you want the community to feel like, okay, we're really getting something for this project. We're going to have between 3,000 and 5,000 jobs on site. So the importance of that is you've probably heard the city talk from time to time about the jobs housing balance. And in fact, any new development, they want to get 2 jobs for every dwelling unit. By the way, that number is only going to go up. And the point being that historically we've been a commuter market, a commuter suburb. So every morning everybody has to slog in their cars, get on the freeway, and just sit there as we try to get to jobs to the south. To the extent we have local jobs here, it enhances the community's lifestyle. They can stay here and work. There's a lot of money generated here. And to that point, somewhere between $200 and close to $400 million of wages for the jobs at Vista Canyon are in the offing. So this is sort of major economic uplift, if you will, as a result of the project. Just to wrap it up with the schedule, so 2015 it was our land development start, as we mentioned. This is the year where we're starting to build our first verticals of the water plant, initial town center buildings, multifamily construction will lag just a little bit into early next year. Next year will be a continuation of construction for home builders. In other words, the for sale housing, the initial homes, model homes, and then the rollout of 322 homes will be occurring mostly next year and into 2019. And then the balance of the town center will roll out as the term we use in our business is absorption. So in other words, you build a building and it takes so long to absorb, to lease up. So depending on the pace of absorption and the appetite for the balance of the office space, the hotels, and also the apartments in the town center, we're projecting that we're going to be 2024, and it might even go past 2024 for the final build out of the project to occur. So it's spanning from start to finish a number of years. So that brings you up to date on where we are and where we're headed, and we thank you for the opportunity. If you have any questions, complicated questions, my partner Glenn is there, and be happy to entertain them. Yes?
Why wasn't there any affordable housing mentioned?
Yes, I'm Steve from Saugus. Seems like what this community really needs is affordable housing. Were you asked to incorporate affordable housing into this, or is your concept of affordable housing for houses 450 to 650,000?
Yeah, high threes to mid
There's going to be no houses at 300.
High threes.
Okay,
yeah, so,
I'll keep my eye on it.
Okay, so here's the thing. The short answer is no, we weren't. And in fact, as I remember back to the entitlement phase, there was quite a pushback in Canyon Country. You have a number of affordable housing projects here now, and I can recall a number of folks telling city representatives, tell you what, when Valencia gets the next affordable housing complex, then maybe we'll take another one over here. So we frankly did not get any pressure at all to do that, and so we have not specifically included quote unquote affordable housing in this project.
Hello, my name's Michelle Jenkins. I'm on the Board of Trustees for College of the Canyons, the local community college.
Sure. And
I'm just curious, and I'm sorry I don't know the answer to this, but have you had any communication with the college at all? The college is very entrepreneurial, and we have a Canyon Country campus. I don't know if you're aware of that. And I believe this will impact that. We also have a number of technical programs out of Canyon Country. I could see a nice synergy for our students as far as the water treatment plant, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Michelle, my wife Vicki is working with your daughter, I think, at COC in the nursing program. I think is that.
I don't think it's my daughter, but yeah.
Okay. The short answer is yes. We've met several times with COC folks, including Diane,
Oh, good.
but not recently.
Yeah, you might want to do that.
Not recently.
I can see some of the numbers they'd be very interested in, like the jobs generated, and so probably who to meet with would be Diane and/or Jim Shiragi, who's the dean of vice president of facilities.
Okay.
I think that'd be a good idea, and I'll let them know that I suggested you call, because I think they'd be
Yeah.
really interested to hear this.
I mean, if you would help with this interface
Sure,
or this introduction,
I will.
we'd be happy
They
to
knew
follow
I
up
was
with it.
coming tonight, and I
Okay.
told them I would update them on what I heard. So.
I'll make sure you have my contact information,
Okay.
and then we'd like to look into that.
Okay, my name is Steve. I live here in Canyon Country. I have 3 questions. What's being done about more schools for K through 12? Because we already have, on this side of town, we already have few schools, and which ties into the second question, which is the roads. Not the roads of Vista Canyon, but the roads around, like Soledad, for instance. There's going to be a lot more traffic on Soledad to get in and out of Vista Canyon. And then the third one is there going to be any single-story housing?
Yeah, that last one is a very good question, and
Because you were talking about people downsizing.
right. I will say that our consultants have really stressed that we need to have downstairs bedrooms in the homes that we build here. Now, we're not planning on any single story, so it's all going to be 2-story. But we are very aware that we need the downstairs bedroom in most of the models. So hopefully we're getting part of the way to the objective I think you're getting at. With respect to the schools, we, like any large development, has to go to the local school district, in this case Sulphur Springs, and enter into a school mitigation agreement. And basically what that is, if we can't provide them with a new school on site, then we have to build them or pay for a new school somewhere else where they want it. Several years ago, when we made this arrangement with Sulphur Springs, Dr. Bob Nolette was the superintendent, and he didn't want a school here on our property because Sulphur Springs is right down the street. What he wanted was a new school up the freeway in, Glenn, was it Skyline or Spring Canyon? Because many of the kids from up north of the freeway are now busing into Sulphur Springs. So his idea was, if I can create another neighborhood school to the north, and fellas, I'd like you to pay for it, then this is a good arrangement, because then I solve a problem up north. Some of these kids will be up there freeing up space in Sulphur Springs for your kids to walk to Sulphur Springs. So we are funding the creation of a new school at Sulphur's direction up north.
So what about high school? Would that be the high school in Golden Valley?
I'm sorry?
High school.
Golden Valley is our high school, right? Right.
Okay. Well, the third part, the other part was the roads.
Yeah, that's why
Congestion.
that's why I pulled the plan back up. So, in one sense, if you'll bear with me, one side of the coin is that the road connections that flow through Vista Canyon actually improve circulation. So, in other words, we're a little better off than we were without those roads. Keep in mind, it's a big hole in the donut where all the infrastructure and roads kind of sort of dead-ended. Think of that Lost Canyon Bridge above the railroad up by the apartments to our west, just a road that just stopped and didn't go anywhere. So we think connecting all this up is step one. Now, we also have other mitigation responsibilities, and my partner may want to address this, to make improvements on certain intersections within a certain radius of the project. So we know traffic is going to increase, and we have development conditions to improve certain streets, connections, traffic lights around us. Glenn, you want to add to that?
Yes, we actually have a little over $20 million in roadway improvements that we have to construct, which would include the bridge over the Santa Clara River, as well as various intersection improvements that kind of extend all the way from San Soledad down into Fair Oaks Ranch. So there are considerable improvements that will come with the project over time as we build out.
So it's going to be multiple access, Sand Canyon?
Yes, we have 4 access points, so it's really Sand Canyon via Lost Canyon Road, Fair Oaks Ranch via Lost Canyon Road, what is Lost Canyon Road right now in Soledad, which will be Vista Canyon Road, and then Jake's Way.
Right, three points in and out. And as Glenn mentioned, we're being required to spend $20 million to improve transportation infrastructure around us as a result of the demand, the extra demand that the project's going to put on.
Yes, my name's Elaine Ballas, and I'm from Canyon Country. And why are you opposed to affordable housing?
We were.
I have actually 2 questions.
Oh.
Okay, that's the first one. Why are you against affordable housing?
We're not against it or opposed to it. We were not asked to do it. We were not. There was no requirement that we would do it, and so we elected not to do it. But that has nothing to do with the fact that we don't approve
Well,
of
there
it.
really is no affordable housing because the numbers that the city offers as affordable housing, I called the 4 or 5 that I could bring up on my phone, and only one actually said that they have a wait list of 4 years. One said that they didn't know about it. The other one said they really don't have it. The other problem with that is you have to have 2 people going into the apartments that they're having. So if they wanted to, like say someone wanted to downsize and really became on a fixed income, there's nowhere for them to go. So they couldn't go into an apartment because you have to have another person if you're a single person. And the other, he said he has 20,000 jobs. What kind of jobs?
So the bulk of these jobs are attributable to the corporations, the various companies that are going to be located in 650,000 square feet of office space. Now, we have 165,000 square feet of retail space, the restaurants and shops that I mentioned. So there will be retail jobs there. These are typically lower paying jobs, which is fine. The bulk of our economic contribution is from the white collar employment, if you will, that's occurring in the various office towers. And I think I probably forgot to mention, the blue buildings here, there's 4 of them, are 6, 5, and 4-story office buildings. So they're not high rises really, but they're, you know, the Princess Cruises building in the town center in Valencia, that's a 6-story building. So we're going to have 2 of those, and then a couple other smaller corporate buildings. So in those buildings will be technology, advertising, media, lawyers, insurance, etc. And those are the jobs that we refer to, the bulk of the jobs.
Just out of curiosity, is there anything for health? Like
yes, we assume so. Now, we have had conversations with some of the major medical clinic providers, and you know the names, Facey, Kaiser, UCLA, and others. We imagine that one of those will want some space, if not a building, in here before it's over with. And we also think that up and down this street, those 6 3-story buildings, we think will get medical demand as well in those buildings. So we're anticipating medical space, which frankly in this valley is generating more leasing activity almost than any other kind of space lately. So we will have medical.
I'm just concerned about trucks hauling dirt and all kinds of crap like that. And I'm worried about driving down the streets. They're hauling dirt for Golden Valley, dumping it over here. And the trucks the rains were horrible because they got muds on the tires and stuff. I mean, I drive a Lexus car and here the mud comes on my windshield. My windshield has all dips in it and stuff. I mean, are you going to be hauling dirt and everything? Or?
Yeah, the good news is we're just about completely finished with the dirt. And I apologize if recently you've been assaulted.
Don't have any covers on the tops or no?
I missed that?
No covers on the tops at all, on the trucks.
You know, they're supposed to have covers, and sometimes they don't, and I apologize for that. All I can tell you is, over the next week or so, I think it is, Glenn, we're taking a little dirt that the city's asked us to take, and then we are done.
I hope
dirt.
so.
So
Because
we're
it's
sorry
no
for,
fun having.
and we realize there's been some inconvenience,
And
and
this project, I don't understand on the map exactly. This project is up on Sand Canyon. Where the train's going to come into the depot?
You're asking where the train is going to
Yeah.
be?
Where's the project?
The project, well,
What main streets are up there?
yeah, okay. You've got Sand Canyon right here, if you know where Sand is. Okay, well, you got Via Princesa down here. Those are the two off-ramps that are on
and
either
that's
side.
where the train's going to come in right there, the train station,
Yeah.
right?
I'm sorry, were you asking the location of the project?
No, the train station. Train
Okay.
station.
Here's the train station, and it's
Right.
going to be right there along the tracks, right
Yeah.
in the middle of the project. So if you can see where I'm pointing, that's where the train station is going to
And
be.
then we're going to move the train station away from where it is now.
Yes, and this was not our idea necessarily, but the fact is, the Via Princesa station was built after the '94 earthquake, and it was always meant to be temporary. Now, of course, it's been 20.
Yeah, they want to make that a park.
Yeah, and
Which
so
is-
Metrolink never liked the fact that it was on a curve and there's there's at-grade crossings. That's really kind of bad, and plus there's not enough parking there. So when the city suggested to Metro that they maybe move to a spot that was going to be straight-tracked, ultimately a parking structure with more parking and no at-grade crossing, Metro said, count me in. So, and now the city's going to buy the property and create a park.
So with all them homes going in there and everything, it's going to be a major traffic thing on the 14 freeway. The idiots can't even drive, go to work. Every day there's an accident. I mean, I just pulled a Toyota trailer up to SoCal, California, and you know what? Man, they pass you like crazy.
Yeah. Well, drive carefully out there.
Drive carefully. Good luck to you. It's going to be a fantastic project over there, I think.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Hold on.
Actually, no. So this is Lost Canyon Road. Sulphur Springs School is right about here, and so Sand Canyon's right. Look over here. Okay. So we're, By the way, we're like a mile here. From here to here is roughly a mile. So that whole distance there, so it's big.
Steve, last time we saw the project, I remember a discussion about recharge ponds.
Yeah, we got rid of those. It wasn't our idea, but and Glenn can speak to this, the regional board issues permits for the water plant, and they made us change the design last year to get rid of the ponds. And Glenn, if you want to pile on here with some details, but that did happen to us.
Yes, the regional board, through our permitting process, eliminated those ponds. Those ponds ultimately were not going to be used very much. Castaic Lake Water Agency is working on their Phase 2B expansion of recycled water on the east side, and so they will be building a tank and infrastructure associated with that. So initially they were going to get some use, but ultimately they weren't going to get a lot of use, as Castaic was going to take a bulk of the water.
I'm just curious, is this going to be anything like the water reclamation plant over off of the old road?
Much smaller. We're only at about 400,000 gallons per day at the old road. I think they're north of 20 million gallons per day. This plant does not treat solids either. So we're really scalping about 90% of what's generated, treating that and reusing it on site. All of the solids remain on their way down to Valencia or Saugus.
Okay, thank you.
So you're saying that you have an agreement with the city to take over operation of the water treatment plant, and you also have an agreement with CLWA that they're going to take any overage of water, say during the winter seasons?
Yes, we do. Yeah. CLWA, we do have an agreement with, and they are finalizing an agreement with the city because the city ultimately will be the owner and operator of the plant. But they will take about 2/3 of what is treated at the water reclamation plant and use that off-site. The bulk of that would be in Fair Oaks Ranch. So we do have agreements in place, and the city will be owning and operating the plant. There will be a special district that's formed over the top of the property, and the project, and the future residents and business owners will pay for the operation and maintenance of that plant.
Hey, Steve, one question. Is the traffic circle still going to be developed there at Lost Canyon and Sand?
Yes. The city made the decision that that would be the treatment for that intersection, and they've assigned us the financial responsibility to build it. And we're probably going to do that, I would think, 2018, Glenn? Yeah. Thank you all very much.